Hello everyone, welcome back to more Terra Mystica. It's still tournament season 39, and we're gonna do the faction selection video for my Player 2 game. But first, I do want to revisit the Player 1 game briefly because it's picked up speed much more quickly than any of the others. As you can see, players 1 and 2 have picked here, but still not my turn yet. And here, nobody's made it. Even player 1 hasn't acted. So I bet player 1 here is the same person as player 3 here, but we'll see. Anyway, but in my cultist game, which we talked about in the previous video, everyone's done selecting factions. And as I predicted, it went CDME. Although I did not predict this order. I don't know why player 3 picked mermaids before engineers. Maybe drawn in by these scoring tiles? Maybe? I don't know. I think engineers are... Well, I don't know. The thing is, like, if you pick engineers, you risk the next guy picking witches, although I don't think they will. Whereas if you pick mermaids, engineers are just a standout choice for the last player, and you're, like, guaranteed to be in a bad spot as mermaids. So, I don't know. Anyway, I got to place my first dwelling here. And we'll see where everyone goes. But I predict, you know, it'll be something pretty close to what I said, right? Mermaids E4, D5 is pretty standard. Engineers E7, F6, pretty standard. And with Darklings in the game and cultists here, I don't see any reason for them to deviate. It does mean I might have some contention for D4 and G2, I suppose, right? I might have trouble getting a third space for my town in here unless I can secure E5. Absolute worst case, I can maybe go F3 bridge to G1. Be kind of a bummer, but maybe. But I'd prefer to just get my hands on either D4 or G2 before the engineers do. We'll see how that goes. Darklings, though, as I said earlier, they still seem to have a tough position, right? Maybe G5 to get neighborhood with me. And of course engineers here. Where the second one goes, I don't know. Maybe they'll try to stay all the way on the east, E10. Kind of constrains them a bit. It's hard to get out, especially when cultists take both of these spaces. You can't like ship anywhere else. So you're really constrained to these like what, 10 spaces, which is kind of small. Unless you want to ship all the way up here, which you don't. So yeah, and the mermaids will have taken this anyway by the time you're available, so I think Darklings are going to have a rough time. Anyway, let's move on to my player 2 game, which I looked at some off camera, but I didn't come to any strong conclusions, and I don't even really remember what was going on here. So player 1 has chosen Darklings. Okay, fine. What do I notice about the round scoring track? Well, early stronghold, that's impactful for a lot of factions who want to build their stronghold. There's more of a reason to do so. For example, Nomads, Giants, Chaos Magicians, sometimes Witches or Orin, Swarmlings. So those factions are a bit better here than on average, just because of round 1. But I mean, I don't mean they're better in total, but like round 1 makes them a bit better than the average round 1 does. Maybe the rest of the 5 make them worse. I haven't evaluated that yet. I do notice there's no temple scoring tile, so every cult step will do something, or there'll be cult income every round, that is, which makes culty factions maybe a bit better, such as cultists, but the bonuses are somewhat scattered, you know. They're as scattered as they could be, except that it would be even worse if like this one were priest income or something, or if this were like the temple scoring tile with coins per priest spent, because then you'd only have one of each cult. Here you do have Earth repeated, and Earth is one of the better cults, just because the coin bonus is so gross. So maybe cultists are playable here. I wouldn't be shocked, I think, to see like a 4th seat Chaos Magicians. Is that crazy? Maybe it is. I don't know why. I just like it. They like building this sanctuary. Actually, I should look. What about bonus tiles? Okay. So we do have the Strongholds bonus tile as well. So 4th seat is almost certainly going to pick a Stronghold E faction. Nomads and Chaos Magicians are sort of the popular ones. Although witches, yeah, you can play them. Yeah, and actually there's air in the first round as well, which is even better for witches. So witches, at first glance, seem like they should be in competition. What bonus tiles are we missing? We're missing 6 coins, dwelling scoring, and shipping scoring. Okay. So maybe a slightly low scoring game. I wonder if swarmlings are good. Because, well, I don't know. Yeah, it has the stronghold and the trading post pass tiles. Which are kind of like their favorites. And we have every cult represented here, and round 1 stronghold is not quite as good as round 1 trading post. I guess though there's no trading post round scoring at all, which is a big bummer for them. Yeah, maybe you don't want to play swarmlings. What else can we conclude from the fact that we're missing shipping scoring and the 6 coins and dwelling scoring? Well, it's a relatively low coin game in that case, right? 8 of the 14 available bonus coins are gone. So you might want someone who can thrive in such an environment, such as, say, engineers. Or, I mean, Chaos Magicians do alright because they can pick up Fire 1 early. You might want Air 2 as another favor, maybe? Just because it lets you... I mean, it gives you some power, of course, which is the point. And it just happens to opportunistically also get you a worker in the first round. Maybe? Obviously, it actually does. I just don't know if that's enough to justify taking it over a typically stronger favor tile like Earth 2, which will also help you quite a bit in the next 2 rounds. And I think that would be something that would mostly be done by Chaos Magicians, not by someone else, because you do want a scoring favor, probably. I don't know. There's round 3 digs, so that's not ideal for halflings, but it seems playable, maybe. Dwarves? I don't think dwarves are very good here. Engineers would probably be better. Yeah, Witches do seem pretty playable. With the early stronghold and air. 2 dwelling scoring rounds and some towns in kind of the middle. That's pretty good, I think, for witches. I'm not totally sold yet. And it would be better, of course, to pick them in seat 4, I think. Because you would be able to guarantee this style. Nomads, of course, are another stronghold faction we could consider. For fairly similar reasons to the witches. They want to build their stronghold early. They are going to be good at building dwellings and scoring towns. So it's another... They seem reasonable. Even giants, you could imagine, but I don't think that's very good. They're just like nomads, but down a worker. They are up like 4 points because they'll get to cash in on this, whereas the nomads won't. But they do have better shipping as well. Like, I don't know. I don't think there's enough reason to really think seriously about giants here. I don't like mermaids. I think swarmlings are not good, so we're not playing blue. Cultists are probably playable. Nomads are playable. Chaos Magicians may be playable from 4th seat, but they wouldn't be my first pick. I'd rather pick witches if I could. Which sort of suggests that engineers are maybe not so great, right? Because unless you can get them from 4th seat, then they'd be pretty nice. Although then you're not getting the stronghold scoring. That's probably fine. They're still just good. Although 4th seat engineers might miss out on Earth 1, which is a pretty big deal for them. So maybe they're not so great. I don't know. I'm just like trying to figure out again what kind of the 4 top factions seem to be, and then think about that matchup and see which of those 4 I'd like to play. Obviously, Darklings are going to be one of them, so really I just need the next 3. And I kind of suspect somebody will take Cultists, because why wouldn't you? And then it's like, what does third seat do? Say it's me who picks Cultists, right? What does third seat do? They could take Nomads, I guess, but then Engineers have free reign in fourth seat, so I don't think they should. I don't know. I think third seat should maybe take Witches. You can't guarantee the Stronghold passing tile, but fourth seat might not want it. And if you let fourth seat get Engineers without a color neighbor, they're going to be pretty strong. And even then, you know, well, Cultists, Darklings, Witches, Engineers. In that matchup, it's like Cultists and Darklings are in first. I guess the main downside with picking Cultists would be that Nomads seem fairly playable. And it might go like Engineers and Nomads. And in that matchup, I'm color sandwiched as Cultists. And not, I don't think I'm the favorite there. I think it would be Engineers and Darklings ahead of the field then. So I could take Engineers, but I think that Witches are a big threat. Can I pick someone non-committal? Like, I don't think Nomads are ever completely out of the running. Right? Like, are they going to get color sandwiched? By who? Chaos Magicians are never picking into Nomads. Maybe it is a yellow game. Just to avoid... Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think yellow or green are probably the way to go here, because at least if you take green, i.e. Witches, there's no easy Engineers pick. And the other players probably go Nomads, question mark? Right? Like, what do you do into DWN? You can pick Engineers, but you wouldn't like to. WEND used to be like a fairly popular, and I think is, well, back when MEND was the most popular matchup. By the way, I'm talking about what I've read, right? This was before my time. But MEND used to be a very, very popular matchup, and eventually people were like, you know, shouldn't we be putting Witches in here? Engineers win that game every damn time. Shouldn't we be taking Witches instead of Nomads? And people, and it was like, oh yeah, I guess we should. And in that matchup, Witches and Engineers are kind of both last. I think. But at least Witches have some play to beat they probably beat Engineers, where Mermaids like definitely lose to them in that matchup. So we could take Nomads, I guess. And then what are the last 2 players supposed to do? Someone like might take Brown, but then they're color sandwiched and like they don't have a lot of room to work with. Right? Like, okay, say it goes E5, F3, E6, E7. Like, I've seen that starting configuration, and it's kind of rough, both for, well, everyone, I guess. The Cultists have trouble getting out of E6. Darklings have trouble getting neighbors anywhere but at E5, because they can't get over here. They can just build dwellings. Well, I don't know. Nomads are probably on D3, so maybe they get neighbors that way, but you can try to cut them off at E3. So I think Nomads and Witches are the reasonable choices for me here. Is Cultists reasonable? Maybe. How's the scoring track look for them? I looked at the cult track, which was like kind of okay, but not amazing. And it's like, meh, not great, the scoring. In terms of bonuses, I really don't know what bonuses Cultists like. Yeah, it's a mystery to me. These bonus tiles seem fine, but I can't think of any that I would like less. They're just relatively flexible, I guess. Nomads have a little bit of trouble in a low coin environment, though, right? They love to build dwellings because they have their sandstorm. And they do have extra good trading posts, but you have to get up to 3 of them before that's helpful. And there's not even any trading post scoring here, so it would have to be quite a big commitment to get coins as Nomads. Witches, similarly, have a bit of coin trouble, but it's not so bad for them. Because their stronghold, if you build it, gives you the dwellings for free, and what you need to produce is the digs, eventually. Also note there's no shipping scoring tile, which could be nice for witches, because they, with their stronghold, tend to want to delay actually taking shipping. They'll spread to the, using Witch's Ride, and then at the end get enough shipping to connect up. And there's temporary shipping, which will kind of bridge the gap maybe if you want to build a bit more quickly than Witch's Ride will let you. You could hop across the river for a bit. So I think witches are probably better than nomads here. But if that's the case, should I be picking cultists because nomads won't sandwich me? No, I don't think so. Because it'll go Darklings, cultists, let's say nomads. And then the last player is like thrilled to take engineers, right? So probably player 3 doesn't pick nomads, they take witches. And anyway, I thought witches were going to be better than nomads, so they do that, let's say. We have Darklings, cultists, and witches. But then what does player 4 do? They don't want to pick blue into a sandwich when blue isn't even that good. They don't really want Chaos Magicians, although I suppose you have no neighbors, so it might be better than usual. And you can get the Sanctuary in round 1, which is pretty cool. In that context, am I in good shape or bad shape as cultists? In like witches, darklings, cultists, chaos magicians? I don't know. Chaos magicians would start D4 because there wouldn't be engineers on E7, and you can go this way very nicely. I think Chaos Magicians would actually be pretty good in 4th seat in that matchup. Although, no, they'll still lose E7 because Witches will snatch it first, seeing the big potential for both of them of E7. So, I'm not sure. Anyway, I would have plenty of neighbors here, and I could then go this way, I guess, if I were cultists. But player 4 doesn't have to pick Chaos Magicians. They could pick Nomads, saying like, well, I don't want to be engineers with witches in the game. Chaos Magicians are like going to be maybe not great. So in that case, I would still end up sandwiched as cultists. So and it's just going to be hard to find any space, right? In the middle continent, especially. You know, over here is fine to be friends with Darklings, but where else? Here? No, I want this to be my first down. You just like can't get out. You'd have to go like here or something, or here maybe. But witches will probably want E7 before I can muster up 3 digs. So it feels like the outcomes for me are not that good if I pick cultists. I don't like any of my choices, honestly. But I think witches is the best shot. It might succeed in discouraging engineers. And I think we would get cultists next because they like to have witches as neighbors. And then maybe nomads or chaos magicians. Neither of which are like hugely problematic for me. So I think that witches is kind of the best safety play. If someone picks engineers into witches, like, I don't know, I'm gonna be sad, but probably not last. Yeah. Where do witches usually start? Like F4, right? And also E9, I think? I'm not sure what you're supposed to do if engineers pick F6. Maybe you're supposed to go E9 first to tell them, like, don't you dare. But I don't know, they might go this way. I guess I've seen, like, C4 or C3 as somewhat popular starting tiles because you kind of want them eventually. And Witch's Ride will let you connect up to wherever else you want to go. So you don't necessarily have to pick a good starting location. You just have to pick a tile you want eventually and that might be contested. And then you can jump to your, like, virtual second starting location. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to look up, like, what standard witches starting spaces are, but I'm certain F4 is one of them. And this would be nice, except that engineers might go here, right? I certainly, like, you can start C4 or C3 if you're going to do a round 1 dwelling rush with shipping, because it gets you to C5, which gets you to A10 and E9. But we're not going to do that here, I assume, because it's a stronghold scoring round, not a dwelling scoring round. I guess if I got the shipping bonus tile, maybe I would do that. It's a big, big economic boost to grab all this in round 1. Get like 7 dwellings or something. That might be worth more than... But like, you want to do it in round 2, right? Round 2 dwellings. Yeah, so I think you do start stronghold if you go witches. Okay. I'm not sure how the witches engineers thing usually resolves on the eastern continent. But I'm hopeful that I don't have to deal with it because a Division 4 player will steer away from engineers if witches are in the game. And then we get like cultists and nomads, which seems playable for witches. Maybe I'm fighting for third there. Maybe that's not so great. But like, I have no color neighbors. How bad could it be? Yeah, I'll take witches. Well, I don't know. Obviously, this could be wrong. But it seems to me that all the other choices I could make it very easy for other players to do stuff that's good for them and bad for me. Whereas here, they can do stuff that's good for them, but at least it's neutral for me. Or if they do something bad for me, then it's also bad for them. So I think I'm going to take witches. And try to... I don't know, it feels so bad to be picking, like, and kind of hoping for third place already when I'm player 2. Like, shouldn't there be a better setup for me? And I just don't think there is. I don't know. I think witches has some play for second in most of the matchups I was looking at. there's a pretty good scoring track for them, I think. And the bonus tiles are reasonable. No dwelling scoring is kind of a bummer, I guess. What do you do about that? Build more trading posts, I guess. Which you kind of want to do anyway, since it's low on coins, and as witches you can place a bunch of dwellings. So maybe you should be prioritizing spending your coins on trading posts. Yeah, it seems reasonable, I guess. Alright, I'll just hit save. There you go. I did it. We're witches now. Game over. No movement, of course, in the other games. Although, a chat in my... we were talking about, hey, the league season started, good luck, etc., etc. So, that's all for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.